Ode to Healing by Mariah Hadnot. Summary. To feel and know better. An introduction to my realization of the different approaches available when healing trauma. Here's me tracking my steps. The brain state model from conscious discipline may indicate more than I initially realized. I hypothesized the brain state model to be capable of projecting a different level of consciousness in each of the three states of mind based on maturity developmental stages. How is this different from what we already know? Studies on the brain state model suggest that the brain isn't fully developed until approximately 25 years of age. Experience will teach us that age does not equate to stages of developmental growth. So, what happens? My theory is that each of those brain states have to reach a sufficient level of developmental growth. For example, the longer one person operates out of survival mode, the more they increase their ability to function in survival mode, especially if they continue to build a life that promotes their need to fulfill practices aligned with a survivalist mentality. Thus, in this example, the longer that one person spends in survival mode, the more they mature and develop their survivalist mentality with no direct impact on their capacity to operate in their emotional and executive state of mind. In addition, this also highlights an affinity to the number 3, mind, body, spirit, survival, emotional, executive, knowing, understanding, empowerment. Aside from that, I hypothesize the developmental process of maturation to be a requirement in each brain state. This means that if you continue to bring awareness to your challenges and accept the path of transformation for the sake of connection, you will continue to mature through the developmental stages and find ways to create a sustainable lifestyle with an executive state of mind. In my experiences, learning to recognize triggers has brought me the most transformation. I see triggers as a glimpse into another person's world. Understanding that will evolve what we know about trauma. Could this be why some people are, quote unquote, stuck in their ways? Take, for example, the children that had to grow up too fast. They spent a lot of time in survival mode, maturing their survival consciousness. It is hypothesized that each level of consciousness has to be matured for true evolution, which is defined here as a definite growth towards the highest potential of sustainability. When we change the way we see trauma, the way we interact with our own trauma changes. Then we start to hope to see that energy being reciprocated. Afterwards, we start creating it with the tools we have. Adding a new level of understanding can disrupt our behavioral patterns and ignite change within us. Respect and grace are on a spectrum of emotions and deserve recognition when deciphering the lessons behind trauma. Overcoming your challenges increases your emotional endurance and keeps you in the evolutionary cycle of growth. Deepening your understanding within the cycle transforms your experience by shifting your perception of the information presented to you. This is why forgiveness is hypothesized to be so freeing, because it allows you to go through the process of recognizing the fault in yourself and others while maintaining a boundary that enforces your desire and affinity to change. Ode. To be disciplined and conscious is the challenge we foresee. No regard to their feelings, state of mind, or dis-ease. People can issue disciplinary actions with ease. Isn't it interesting to see? You can do it with your mind. You can do it with your thoughts. You can do it with no notice. To be aware is to be trough. I'm giving thanks to the way we perform when we feel our optimal best. I'm showing up in ways that matter most to me when times get tough, proving time and time again that we are not our thoughts, we are how we get up. And yet, somehow, when it's time to sit down, relaxed, magnified my mind, I'm torn between the way I must be and the way that I once lived, living in a life and reimagining it like a kid, surviving way more than my thoughts, I recommend emotionally tuning in rather than trying to pretend that isolation is better than never having a friend, while simultaneously using your discernment to executively decide who and what is worth letting in. I am learning something about the number three as well. I am learning that with no musical attunement, my rhythm and blues could not blend. Catching the rhythm of threes is the heartbeat and pause in between. It's the earth, fire, and the wind. It's the mind, the body, and the spirit within. It's knowing plus understanding equals empowering. It's survival, emotional, and executive thinking. This is my hypothesis. The one body that you see is capable of living in like three different realities. An anomaly when compared to the desired harmony. What a relief. The good news is there's hope. The bad news is this isn't a joke. Something has got to change. Take no offense, but it can start in many ways. My hypothesis is that you can be a 30-year-old survivalist, an emotional teen, and one of few 2-year-olds that are CEOs. My point is that no matter what age you at, you gotta consciously develop each stage you get. Going through the motions is a checklist in my head. Number one, am I safe? Number two, am I dead? Number three, what does it feel like to do something different instead? I know that last part may go over some of your heads. That's okay. That's the point. To mature and develop your perception in your brain. Nothing feels better than knowing the plan. You can see it coming from a mile away. Someone reaching for a button you were keeping from them. Releasing what was and accepting what I am. I am not my triggers, but I understand what affects me. I am not my triggers, but I will add to my understanding to help me regulate what I am feeling. My experiences are more impactful than I realize as I heal the wounds caused by my misunderstandings of the world. I am more powerful than I realize as I focus my energy on and nurture what fuels me. The things that trigger my trauma are the parts of my story that you would highlight for an autobiography. They shape the way I see the world. They bring attention to my goals and my mistakes. They dictate the way that I move, but I choose respect and I choose grace. From a spectrum of emotions, I am free to create. I create space for me to process, isolate, validate, and rehabilitate. Growth is cyclical and evolved with intent. Building endurance is pivotal for the hermit within. The commitment to self and the wisdom from the journey has me growing with wind. To inspire and empower those facing extinction is my purpose for this season. Yes, it's as dangerous as it sounds. So I'll relax with my pen. For a basic understanding, imagine a senior before graduation. Imagine a family who wants someone to stop drinking. The opportunity to change presents itself in different ways each and every day. To be pushed to let go. It's like a wave. And that is our affinity to grow. To be disciplined and conscious is the challenge we foresee. With new regard to our feelings, our hopes, and our dreams, we can work together to bring harmony to all social scenes. An ode to healing.